Hey, thanks for joining us for this episode of Children's Pedcast. My name is Jimmy Bellamy, and this week I sat down with a man who is not a doctor or a nurse, but he's arguably the most popular person at Children's to the patients at Children's. He's none other than the Dude. His real name is Eriq Nelson, and he's an improv actor who works at Star Studio. He's the face of Star Studio, which is Children's internal TV station that provides programming to the hospitals via closed circuit in St. Paul and Minneapolis, and also is available through live streaming and on-demand viewing on the web. Eriq has a great story about the origin of the Dude, and he talks about how he and his colleagues at the Star Studio are able to provide a different kind of medicine to the kids who come to our hospitals and clinics every day. It's fun to get to sit down and talk with the people here and find out a little bit about them in addition to what they do here at Children's. You can find us on the web at childrensmn.org, on Twitter at childrensmn, and you can find the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, and Stitcher. If you check us out on iTunes, feel free to rate and review the show. That helps us get seen. And then also subscribe to the show. That way every episode will be automatically downloaded to your device. So here we bring you the episode with Eriq Nelson, a.k.a. The Dude. Yeah, well, no, I'm glad you're here. When I started, it was February 2014, and I remember, of course, like most people, when they start here, they see you in the orientation video. And I thought, who is this guy? And I thought the Dude was you. I thought, wow, they got this dude. And that's a perfect name for him. But I think it was Justin Theodotu, former coworker, who he kind of told me, that's Eriq. I'm like, no, that's the Dude. He's like, no, that's Eriq. And that was kind of my first intro to the Dude and Eriq. And how long have you been here?
Well, I started off in late 2007, coming in as a contractor to kind of get the show and the channel up and running again. Mm-hmm. So our first broadcast was 2008, January 3rd, 2008 was when Star Studio was officially relaunched on Channel 13.
And is that when it first became an all-hospital closed-circuit production?
Well, yeah, that had been fully just produced by the hospital, yeah, because before that, Alina had been doing it for years, and they had pulled out their funding, and Family Services manager at the time created a budget, and they were able to pay for equipment and somebody to come in and do it.
It's pretty amazing that you guys have this place at the hospital, both the physical space for the studio and here and in St. Paul. And I say here for those listening in Minneapolis where we're recording. But to have your own TV station that provides a variety of programming throughout the week, even on weekends. You have your St. Kate's comes in. I think it's every Saturday or one Saturday a month.
Yeah.
It's what I've said. It's a different kind of medicine that you're able to provide these kids and these families, whether it's to take their minds off of the not so fun stuff or to lift their spirits or even make them feel better. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we've approached it in a way of leaving the clinical wellness and the medicine and the care that professionals give and approach it from a whole nother angle, which this hospital allows us to do, and kind of fulfilled what at least my vision was that because I'm not a doctor or my background isn't in child life, it's in theater. And I grew up getting, going to college for theater and doing theater for a long time, and also coming from a background of working with people with various disabilities, doing theater and performance. I saw the healing aspects of that. And I was always fascinated by that. Even when I was doing a play like Oklahoma or something like that in college, there's something healing about that. There's something healing when you can go to a theater and laugh or remember a song that was sung, or your favorite, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, that song's in my head. Or that guy actor was really funny. There's always something really inspired and something that you walk away with. And then I found myself in this place where that translates now into a pediatric hospital. And, that old saying that laughter is the best medicine. Well, I don't know if it's the best, the best medicine, but it's a medicine. And why not? Why not offer that up, that we approach it from just a place of fun and play, and let the healing take its part however it may. And for some, it's different. For some patients, it's a really big deal. Some patients kind of take or leave Star Studio. That's all fine and good. But maybe we had a little something to do with their wellness while they were here.
One thing that I couldn't help but notice and stood out is anytime I've gone to your offices at the studio and you look at your individual workspace, you see the myriad posters, drawings, pictures. That has to leave a mark with you when it comes to the people that you've gotten to know, the families, the kids. What does that mean to you? And that's fine. We just had the beep on your phone. That's totally fine.
Somebody's texting me.
Look, we've had doctors in here and the pagers have gone
off.
Oh
my gosh, it's blowing up. It might be my mom.
This might be an emergency.
Oh gosh, no, we're fine. What's going on? Let me text it. Let me see. Oh,
right in the middle of my heartfelt speech/question.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Totally fine.
Well, yeah, getting when kids make you stuff. Yeah, there's pictures of me with patients, and it's one of those things I've never really known what to say except for how flattering it is and how touching it is. And I try not to think about it too much, actually. I really don't try to go there too much, because it can really be, it's hard to take this job not home. I mean, to leave it completely here, because you do understand that there are certain families that you affect in a really very impactful way. Now, we all do here in some form or another. We all have stories to tell, and I think that's one of the great things that you get about work. You get from working at a children's hospital is just that you can feel good about what you do sometimes. That's not illegal.
Yeah.
We don't have to repress our feelings of, we're just showing up and this is our job. Well, sometimes our job is very emotional, and there's a huge payoff, and sometimes there isn't. But when kids make you stuff, how can you not feel really great about it? And most of it's unprompted. They just, I come by their room the next day, they have a drawing for me. Who wouldn't just love that and want to put it all over their walls,
Yeah, it's a pretty neat perk to being here. I imagine you go through this and for a different reason, but when I was trying to find work in the Twin Cities prior to moving from Duluth, it had been about a year of looking, and my wife has been down here for 10 years. We just got married in September, so it's not like we were married for that 10-year period.
Yeah.
But we'd been together for about 2.5 years before I moved here, and it was just this incredible feeling to get called for an interview here, and then to interview here, and then to get the job. And I think about it every once in a while that while there have been difficult times adjusting to the life in our communications department, doing PR, going from journalism to that, there are days where I walk around, I'm like, I can't believe I work here. I can't believe that it's my job to do our group's social media. I imagine you have similar feelings when you walk around and think, I can't believe this is my job.
Oh, for sure. I would say pretty much every day when there's that 10 minutes before we do a live broadcast and I have to get ready as the dude. I mean, it's that you could do it like slow-mo, montage of me like looking at myself in the mirror, darkening in my eyebrows just a little bit so it matches the wig that I put on, wearing a shirt that I probably wouldn't even worn 20 years ago, and just trying to be somebody that's an extension of myself, but still a character, and still you don't want to go to the place where you don't think that you deserve it, because that would be easier now as an artist and a performer. It's easy for me. Oh, I don't deserve to be here and everything, but yeah, just believe in what you do. And you just say, you know what, I'm going to put on a wig as long as they want me to, and as long as I can,
What is the origin story of the dude?
Yeah, well, I wanted to do a character that could just kind of stay the same age, because I felt like when I approached this job, there was a generation of kids that we would, if this went well, we would let's say, the youngest kid that would make a connection to our show. Let's just say we might see them throughout their whole childhood, whatever, depending on the condition. But that was just like a barometer in which to create a character. Like, how would I do this? Do I want to change it all the time? Do I even want a character? Should it just be me?
Yeah,
I'm just a happy-go-lucky dude
will
guy.
Will the dude eventually get a 9-to-5 job where you're seeing
Probably
him
not.
stocking cap, long hair, but he's in a suit carrying a briefcase?
I've actually maybe that'll be the dude's.
Do people carry
second
briefcases
act.
anymore? I don't ever, outside of TV, I don't think I've ever seen somebody actually walking around with a briefcase.
Unless there's a lot of money in it.
Well, no,
and
then it's the sack with the dollar sign on
yeah.
it.
Now you're going back to Looney Tunes type. Yeah. But no, the dude was I just wanted to create a persona, not even a character, but a persona that was so close to myself and thinly disguised as me, so that I wouldn't have to really work so hard to be a character. And that was the difference. Like, get me up in front of kids, performing in front of families, improvising a lot, doing it from a place of, not just humor, but safety, like a safe place to be, and let me roll with it. Let me be honest. And the dude seemed like the perfect fit because I didn't have to try so hard. It wasn't like somebody fake. It's obviously, me, but it's obviously a variation of me that I think keeps kids' interest, keeps them guessing, keeps families invested, and is timeless, because then the dude never really changes that much. The dude, other than Eriq putting on 15, 20 pounds, the dude hasn't changed that much.
Hey, the dude.
He really hasn't. Like, his personality is, you could go back and watch some of our shows in 2008. It's the same guy. It's the same guy as he was 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
It's almost like a cartoon character.
Yeah, basically. But one that's suited for, being a real person, but also on TV and in people's rooms and in families' rooms. That was the big thing, was that create a character that they can watch and think is funny on TV, but then can show up in their room and not be so phony, but actually be a real person.
Yeah.
So there was that perfect blend, and once I kind of found that balance, the dude became pretty popular with kids.
Have you had any moments where, I don't want to say broke character, but any moments where you were trying to be the dude, and whether it was the emotion of the situation or something, Eriq's feelings came out?
Yeah, all the time. But I do it. Like, sometimes I'll get a little bit snippy with the tech guys if we start late, or if there's some kind of tech glitch. You'll see Eriq. It's a thin disguise. So there have been a few times where I've had to play dad or, employee, children's hospital employee, 2 kids that had come up on the show. And, some kid tried pulling off my hat, and with the hat would have come the wig, and then millions and millions of my fans would have been shocked. No, just kidding. But it would have been one of those things, like, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
So those few moments, because I'm a dad, I have a 9-year-old girl, but a few of those moments, you see the dude go from this happy-go-lucky late teen guy to like 30-something dad going, okay, come on, kids.
What does your daughter think?
That's not awesome.
What does your daughter think of the dude?
Oh, she loves it. Yeah, she's been here a few times. She's even been on the show. So, yeah, I think of it from her standpoint. I think if I were her, I would think that what my dad does is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I imagine one of my favorite things about Children's is the hospital doesn't look like a hospital. It doesn't really have that, as I say, hospital-y feel. And for a kid to come here, it must almost seem sometimes like a playground, depending on, of course, what he or she is here for. But for your daughter to come here and see what you do at the studio, it'd be like a candy shop.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's fun to be able to, be with my daughter and say, I got to go to work. And, like as if I'm going to the,
where's my Captain America shirt?
Right. Yeah. Honey, can you grab Daddy's wig?
And then I've been meaning to...
Daddy had to bring home the wig and wash it. Can you grab it?
Speaking of the wig, I've been meaning to ask you, every year do you get asked during the St. Baldrick's head shaving event to shave your head?
Yeah.
Have you played it off the same way every time, or do you get creative and change it up every year? Give a reason why, or?
I don't know. It just depends. Like, I really think there are employees here that think that. Well, I have an example for you. Mm-hmm. And the short answer is yes. I change it up. I try to reinvent why I can't really officially do it, but most people know that I can't, so they're probably wondering what it is I'm going to say this year. But for example, I had a tutor that works here at the hospital who had been tutoring this patient that I would see almost regularly, nearly every day. And she came up to me as Eriq. I mean, as for those that don't know, I'm bald, and I'm in my late 30s, early 40-ish range.
You can be both those at once?
You can't, yeah.
Okay.
It depends on who you talk to and what documents you have.
So I'm in my late 20s then.
Okay,
All
good
right.
for you.
Sweet.
No, but she came up to me in the lunchroom, and she said, oh my gosh, will you do me a favor? Can you tell your brother that I think the work he does with the kids is just so amazing. I'm there in the room sometimes when he comes in. He just knows how to talk to kids. And I just looked at her because she had seen me a handful of times, both as the dude and as Eriq, but had not made that connection that we're the same person. And so she just assumed it was my brother. And so I just looked and thought, oh, I should let her off the hook. She needs to know. And instead I said, you know what? I will. He'll really appreciate that. I'll tell him as soon as I see him. I'll see him tonight, actually.
And then did you see her again as the dude and say, my brother told me what you said. Thank you so much.
No, I wish I would have, but I actually couldn't go on much longer. And I think I saw her again later that day, or even like maybe it was the next day. And I said, I'm sorry. I have to tell you, you have to know it's me. And I have a badge that has a picture of me and the dude. So I was like, here's the deal. And she thought it was the funniest thing.
That's good that she reacted that way. You hear the I guess it's the urban legend now where people are traumatized when they see the Disney mascots take off the top and reveal that they are indeed human beings.
Oh, for sure. Well, I worked on a Disney cruise line. I saw it all.
So you have firsthand experience?
Yeah. It is. It's just something you're not supposed to see.
I mean, I'd like to think that if I was 6 years old and saw Mickey Mouse remove his head, I'd be like, yeah, that's about what I was expecting.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, every kid is different.
Right.
I'm so curious about the improv and the theater. When did you know, one, that you wanted to do improv theater, and two, when did you know that you wanted to / were able to make that a career?
Wow, the improv kind of just came through, having gone to college for theater arts in Mankato. I kind of packed it up a little bit early and just said, it's time. I have to start working. And I got into interactive dinner theater. So it was improv, but you followed a train every night. You did the same kind of stuff and hit the same marks, and a lot of times said the same lines. But then you kind of got into this groove of like improvising in front of a crowd with other characters. You were always the same character. So every night, so I had the luxury of coming in and playing different characters in this particular show called Tony and Tina's Wedding. So it was this blend of like, oh, I really like being able to kind of make stuff up, but I also have a character here. I'm the little brother of the groom or whatever my role was that night. And I have marks I have to hit, and theater training is actually paying off here. I know what I'm doing. And that led to meeting some of the cast, and a lot of my friends from college had moved up here and started working, and then it kind of snowballed into auditioning for Dudley Riggs' Brave New Workshop. And I got in on the main stage. I hadn't taken classes there or anything. I think there was just a good audition, and I had good connections, and all of a sudden I'm doing improv, which was kind of new, but I fell in love with it right away.
And how old were you when you were at Brave New Workshop?
I'd have to say, 28, 29.
I need to get into that.
Maybe even a little bit younger than that. Late 20s. Yeah. And then into my 30s.
And how long were you there?
I was there on the main stage for a couple of years, so I did like 6 or 7 shows, and then I stayed on to teach there for a long time, and then Disney Cruise Line after that, then Interact Center. So.
Growing up, did you stay in one place? Did you move a lot?
Pretty much small town, starting out with where my mom was born. Then she moved me and my brother to Iowa, and we lived in a town for a couple of years, and then we landed by the time I was in 3rd grade in Humboldt, Iowa. So I stayed there, which is kind of where the theater bug was kind of discovered, I guess.
And then college in Mankato is what brought you to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Back to Minnesota. So okay. I was an Iowegian for a while.
That's fun to say.
Yeah.
It's not Iowan. It's Iowegian.
Iowegian, I consider it. As somebody who's very Minnesotan, very Norwegian.
Oh, there you
go. Spends a little time in Iowa.
I got it. I like that.
Iowegian.
And then I also have to ask this: is the Q in Eriq from birth, or is that your creative twist on it?
That is, unfortunately, that's very classified information.
I can accept that as an answer.
It's not. I'm just kidding.
I like that answer, though.
We should just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's good.
We need a little mystery here.
I don't want to know. I'll cover my ears right now.
If you can find me on Facebook with the Q. It's really...
Have you ever thought about making 2 Qs?
No, but I thought about maybe adding a silent H after it.
Either that or a UE. You'd be Eriq.
Eriq. Well, I just don't want to change the pronunciation.
That's true. It's important to keep that.
Yeah. Maybe changing the E in Eriq to an A.
You could do that. I've seen it. I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. Locally, we have Eriq the Anarchist Cannon, and it's ARIK. Eriq Cannon. He's the gentleman who wrestles often at First Avenue, First Wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm a huge.
You're a huge fan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Have a wrestling podcast as well.
Well, I'd like to have him on the show. Maybe he maybe not be appropriate for kids, but I don't know.
He would be good because he is a character and he's charismatic, but I don't think he could show up on the show wearing the gear of the sponsor that sponsors him.
Okay.
It's not a kid-friendly sponsor.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, fair enough. And then we'd have to get into the whole, hey, what's an anarchist?
Yeah.
And the dude doesn't really go there.
Yeah. Maybe he could just show up political. As Eriq Cannon. Maybe the nickname's out.
Yeah.
Cannon is a good enough nickname, I think.
Right.
So away from here,
yeah.
What kinds of things do you do outside of the entertainment?
Well, I keep it kind of creative. I like picking up my guitar and saxophone and playing. I have a small little group of friends I get together with, and I play drums with them maybe once or twice a week sometimes. I like sports. I don't like going to the events because I'm not huge on crowds, and
I'm in that same camp.
I just can't spend that money on tickets and concessions, and it just costs so. It's such a huge thing that you have to have a lot of money to do. I love getting together like Sundays, going over to a friend's, watching the Vikes or whatever. Tonight, the Wild game. You know.
Yeah. Well, you can call me fair weather. I'm in the same camp. And on Monday night, my wife and I sat down at home and watched the Wild game. And she said, it would be so cool to be there. And I said, do you want to go to a game during the playoffs? And she goes, well, only if you want to. And I thought, okay. And we just kind of left it at that. And the next day, I thought maybe I could go on the secondary market and buy tickets for Game 3. Or I'm sorry, Game 4.
Yeah.
Wednesday's game. And as of recording, this is Friday, It's April 24th,
Yeah.
and the Wild are going to play Game 5 of their playoff series tonight. But Wednesday, Game 4, a rather forgettable one, with the Wild get blown out 6-1.
Yeah.
And all I'm thinking, I'm sitting at home watching the game with the wife. My wife. That's like,
wife, yeah.
just sounds
the
so...
dude.
I don't
the
say
dude,
the
wife.
She's more than the wife. She's, Kate is her name. We were sitting there, and all I could think about when it was 3-0 almost right away is how angry I would be if I was there. Having spent, I assume, hundreds of dollars per ticket.
Yep.
Money on parking, money on food. I would be so sad. And Kate says, I hate how the crowd just deflates as soon as they get behind. And I'm thinking, that would be me. I'd be sitting down, arms crossed, angry.
Yeah.
And I can't justify
me either.
Spending the money.
Me either.
When home entertainment is what it is,
I'd
it's so
rather
much
just
easier.
Be home. Yeah. I mean, every once in a while is fun. And I do love going out and watching sports, but I will go and I will catch a Timberwolves game whenever I can, or a Twins game or whatever. I can sit down and I can watch a Minnesota sports or the Gophers or whenever. So I do a lot of that. I keep things creative. And also I teach an improv for kids camp periodically throughout the year.
Where do you do that?
I do it privately. So I have a partner that I kind of go through, and we're going to rent a space this year, and it's just something that we kind of do together. She kind of produces it, and then I do it. So I'm getting into that. And I did a show last fall at the Guthrie, and another show just last year at the Fringe Festival. So I mean, I dabble, and then I'm a dad, pretty much half the week too. So
what kind of shows do you do? What kind of shows do you attend when you aren't in the performance? Can you do that? Do you enjoy going to theater or going to other kinds of productions where you're just there to observe and spectate?
I go to the ones I can get comps for. Like, I go see my friends.
I'm frugal gent.
Yeah, I didn't grow up to become like, wow, that Oscar Wilde play is getting done at the Guthrie. I got to go check it out. I like to go see my friends.
Yeah, it's just,
I like to see what they're
going
doing.
on.
And yeah,
you want to go.
And if they can get me a ticket, I'm so there. But if they can't, I will still figure out a way to go and see my friends and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the same way when it comes to sports, and I've certainly purchased tickets to the Wild, the Twins. I've never been to a Vikings game other than when I was a member of media or given tickets.
Yeah,
and I think it comes down to that game time experience. It's hard to just sit there when there's all the stoppages and the commercials. Where if you're home, you're not fighting through crowds. You're not having to.
Well, the
sit
same
through
thing
a
is
timeout.
for
You can
music
flip
too.
channel
I mean,
flip.
I would enjoy going and seeing more live music. It's just the hassle.
I'll tell you what.
You have a job, I'll tell you what, and I think a lot of people think like this too, that work with kids, and I work directly with kids, not all the time, and not a ton of kids, but by the time I get home, I'm kind of checked out a little bit, and so I don't want to have to always. It's just my own personal preference. I don't really go out that much.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say. I don't have some need to go out and see sports or go out and see live music. I like to hang out with my friends in the backyard and have a fire, and chill out that way. Then feel like I have to go out and see the world and do all that all the time and go get them and hey, we got tickets to this and go see that and
Yeah, I agree, and I think when you're working full time and you're putting in long days, I don't want to feel guilty about spending a Saturday in sweatpants watching TV.
Yep.
I feel like I've earned it. And I do have some friends where they feel that it's a wasted weekend if you don't go out somewhere and you're not seen and you're not with a bunch of people. I've never subscribed to that because I really enjoy resting and relaxing. So.
Well, I think of this, and that's what's great. I think Children's does a good job to empower employees to just go take care of yourself. There is no set way. You don't have to go to the spa every weekend, or you don't have to have a cabin to get out of town. Just do whatever it is to take care of yourself, to come back and work at a place where you have to and need to be at your best when you're around people in a crisis.
Yeah.
You got to remember that.
Yeah.
So whether you're the dude or Jimmy Bellamy, or if you're, work at Stars Cafe, or if you're Child Life or a nurse or a doc, whoever you are, they promote self-care here, and I think that's really cool. And they don't judge you. It's like, well, just go, relax, take care of yourself, do whatever it takes. And they give you discounts on gym memberships and stuff like that. They do look out for you. So I think whatever it takes to balance your life out, because working at a pediatric hospital, what I've found can be kind of tough sometimes. As much as it is rewarding, you also can't not. You have to at least admit that there are some hard days here too.
That's true. One thing I've discovered, and I discovered it early on, is that everyone who works here shares that passion for helping kids.
Yep.
And I look at it in my former life as a journalist. People get into journalism for a number of reasons. I worked at a paper, and we had 24 employees that worked there for different reasons. Some people loved reporting. Some people loved writing. Other people loved that kind of behind the scenes job where you didn't really have to deal with the public if you're a copy editor.
Yep.
But here, everyone is enthusiastic and passionate about the job.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate in the small team I work with here. We have 16 people. Everyone not only is passionate about his or her job, they're all good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it so enjoyable to come here. And you have to continue to tell yourself that you have to be on top of your game here, because you are going to be dealing with people who are here for some of the worst experiences of their life, as far as they are here because they're going through some scary things.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can make it as I guess, easy as it can be, then
try to lighten the load at least a little bit, whether it's for the patient or the parents or whatever it is. Some of the great things that I've been told throughout the years that what Star Studio can do, and I work on a really good team too. Tanya Wara-Sweeney, Ben Diger, Seth Connie, and myself, the four of us run Star Studio. And we do big things with very few people. We need a lot of technology to help us out too. But they're so those three other people are so passionate about their jobs. It's so great.
Yeah, tell me.
Always looking to what's the next best thing that we can do now that we've done that. Now what? And how we can continue to reach out into the community and bring the community into children's, to allow the community, those that want to give or to do something for kids. How can we put that through our filter of making everything fit and on TV and let kids enjoy it and do that? So it's every day. It's our every day.
Tell me about that dynamic. Is it collaborative when it comes to brainstorming? How does that work? You really do. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to see it firsthand, whether I've been in the crowd or sitting with you during bingo. A lot happens on that show, and it's not a huge staff.
No, it is collaborative. It wouldn't work if it wasn't. Everybody has a voice to talk about, whether it's the kind of game that we'll play or a guest that we'll have on or a graphic or anything. Everybody can chime in. Ultimately, as the host for most of those shows, it's on me to kind of deliver it. So I like to think I have the final, okay, this is how we'll play this game, or this is how I'll ask these questions of the governor or whatever. But everybody pitches in. Everybody's got a job to do.
Do you ever get nervous before an appearance, whether it be for a recording or for a public gathering like the St. Baldrick's event? Or tomorrow night?
St. Baldrick's, no. Because I can wing it. Tomorrow night, the Star Gala, I have to memorize the script. It's BMW's 2015 Grand Coupe XI 428. And I think I just nailed it, which is the first time I would have done that since I saw the script. But, you have to say certain stuff, and you don't want to, there's a difference. And we were talking a little bit earlier about improvising and making it up and kind of just being in the moment and interacting with people and doing stand-up that is written down, that has been practiced, that has been said out loud before. You've tested out some jokes. There is a big difference. I've never done stand-up, and there's a reason for that. I don't feel as comfortable with scripted material as I do unscripted. I feel much better without Annette than I do having to...
Who's Annette?
Huh?
Is she close with you? Annette? You said you feel much better with Annette.
Okay. Jimmy's got the biggest smile on his face after that clever joke.
We're going to add a rim shot in post.
Okay, good.
I started stand-up in December of 2010 and enjoy it a great deal. It's fun.
But it's not the same as improv.
No, it is so different because I'll tell you what, I tried out for an improv group. There's long form and short form, correct? Okay, yeah. So I was doing stand-up at one place in Duluth that has regular comedy. And then another an improv theater in Duluth, Renegade. Have you heard of Renegade?
No.
Is it Renegade? Oh my goodness. I haven't been out of Duluth that long. I think it's Renegade, yeah. It's a great group there run by Andy Bennett, a guy I went to high school with. And they started doing open mics and stand-up comedy. And I went there for these open mics, and after talking with Andy and a couple other people, they encouraged me to come out and try out for improv.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, that would be awesome. I've always wanted to do improv. The stand-up comics who I know that are the best are the ones who have done improv. They're just, you can wing it, and like you said, and they're thinking on their feet, and they're also the ones who you almost get in that mode on stage where you feel normal. So therefore, if somebody throws something at you, you can just quickly think of a comeback, whether it's dealing with a heckler or something. Yeah. So I thought, yeah, I'll try out. Well, not to make excuses. Spoiler alert, I was terrible, but they had the long form tryouts, and from what I understand, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, short form is a little easier, especially if you haven't done improv.
Well, you're just trying to get a laugh. It's jokes, it's games and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's like whose line is it anyway? Kind of zip zing, kind of get your joke out and do an impression, and it's Jerry Seinfeld on paragliding. Go and. What's the deal? Oh.
No,
I don't see it. You said that.
But
what's the deal with all this wind? I don't know. That was terrible.
There's a hole in the paraglider. But it was a difficult hour of trying out, and needless to say, I did not make the team. But it was a good experience. I had fun, and I would love to do improv again, whether it be through a class or getting my feet wet with that. The stand-up.
Well, just to differentiate then, the long form is that you just get a word from the audience, and then you're on stage with 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and then you just improvise for 20 minutes
exactly.
or so. So there isn't like a what-a-dot-da-dot-dot. Hey, lights out, and now let's get another word and start over and do a joke. Long form, you just go, and it's like a short one-act play that you try to tie in with other stories that you've told throughout the half hour or 20 minutes. Yeah. So that's long form, right? That's the difference.
Yes, that is the difference. Yeah. And I've attended a couple of their shows, and it's a blast. And they were always doing the short form when I was there because they have it in seasons. I believe it's like, this is our short form season. Now this is our long form season. And the people who do it, they're unbelievable. Yeah. It's remarkable. And I need to check some of it out down here too. I will go to the crowd even if I'm not comped. I will be there. Yeah. But the stand up is a blast, and it is different. You're absolutely right. And a lot of it, when I've tried to write, the writing process is, I think, one of the most enjoyable and also the hardest. Yeah.
Because I would imagine, you don't know if it's really funny. You have to trust that it is, but you don't until you end up saying it in front of somebody. And I've gone to a stand-up comic class. Their graduation was their 2 minutes that they'd been working on for 8 weeks or whatever. And then the whole class gets their 2 minutes up there. So you just do your best stuff. Here you go. You build stand-up by minutes. It's like if you come up with 2 minutes, you got a good 5 minutes. And then you're into messing around, maybe get into some open mics and stuff. And then if you get into good 10 minutes and 15 minutes, then you can start opening up for bigger acts. And then all of a sudden, if you can get 30 minutes, now you're, you could headline or have like a night at Acme or something like that. So I went to a graduating class performance of 2 minutes stand-up, and people were killing it, and it was really fun, and I was really happy. I don't know why I ended up going. My friend was the MC or something. And then this one big guy comes out, just the funniest looking guy. He was huge, must have been like 6'5", 300 pounds, big Coke bottle glasses, bald, big bushy beard. And he comes out, and people are already on his side. They're ready to laugh with this guy. As soon as he opens his mouth, people are going to start laughing. And sure enough, that's what happened. And he says, "So I'm from North Dakota." And he pauses. Like that in itself was just a joke. People, the way he said it, the way he came out and did his, and started, people started laughing because it was automatically funny. And he stared, and there was silence. And it just kind of kept going on and on and on. And people started getting a little bit more uncomfortable. And finally, this guy said, "I'm sorry, I just can't do it." And he walked off stage, and he had given up.
And that was it?
And that was it. And I thought, oh, to have come so far, and we were so with you. If somebody would just run backstage and say, no, keep going. You don't understand. We're all on your side.
And there are so many factors at play.
I just felt so bad for the guy because he had worked so hard. And to not know how behind we were of him, because we were so rooting for him. We were ready to laugh with him. But I don't know. Maybe he didn't expect to get a laugh on that "So I'm from North Dakota" line. That wasn't really a joke, but he made it into a joke. But something snapped within him. I'll never forget that, to just say, reminds me, whatever lesson I can take from that is finish your act. Just finish.
Yes.
Don't cave and walk off. I felt so bad for that guy.
You finish, and no matter what, no matter how good someone is, everyone has a bad set. Everyone bombs, as they say.
Yeah.
And like I said, there are so many factors at play. There's the audience. There's the delivery.
Oh, I face it every day doing the show, because there will be days where we have this great TV studio here in the hospital. But I know that the audience that's watching our shows are up in their rooms, or in St. Paul in their rooms. And there's an empty studio there. And that's most of the time. But that's not that doesn't mean, you got to remember, I could say something that's really, really funny, and then it just falls kind of flat because there's nobody in the room to laugh at it. Maybe the tech guys, Beth and Beth. Sorry guys, Seth and Ben.
Beth and Sen.
Yeah, right, exactly. They might laugh at me from time to time, but it can be kind of tough because you want, but then when you have, 8, 10, 12 people in the studio and you're being funny and then people are laughing, it's a totally different feeling. And you just have to have confidence that hopefully you find this entertaining wherever you are, whoever you are, out there watching.
The live studio audience versus the empty room, are you able to picture during the empty room sets that there are people watching? I mean, because sometimes I forget when we record these, oh yeah, people are going to listen to this.
Yeah. I always remember that. It's important.
What's worse, the empty room or the full room with no one laughing?
The full room with no one laughing. I would, for sure.
Do you have any go-tos, and you don't have to reveal them, but are there any go-tos where you're like, I know this is going to work?
No, I don't. A lot of the times, because of what I'm saying and talking about, is just, I'm kind of just coming up with it. I've thought about it a little bit, but no, you just kind of get in your groove, and I'm the dude and I'm awesome. All right, let's start the show. Cool, you guys. I don't know.
And then you take it from there.
And then you just kind of roll and you just keep going.
And we've seen episodes of Kids Clubhouse where the audience is very active and participates often. And then you'll get somewhere you're talking to, and we get kids of all ages, of course. You're talking to the kids and you might not get anything. And then you get some who they want to be the show.
Yeah.
And you're doing your thing and you're almost fighting them off, doing the
Mm-hmm.
Heisman, like, oh, hey, we'll get to you in a second.
Yeah.
It's quite a mix. I mean, it can be anything depending on the day or depending on the hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And we've had, I think over the course now of like 6 or 7, we'll just say 7 years, basically 7 years, that one of the things that we've gotten good at is maintaining those relationships with kids that are here for a while and then maybe they're discharged and then maybe they come back. Like there was a girl who had her birthday party was her idea for her what she wanted to do was to get her friends to come to Star Studio and to have a birthday party, her birthday party on our TV show. Like,
it's a great idea.
not Mall of America or American Girl doll store or, Chuck E. Cheese. No, they wanted to come when she wasn't in the hospital at the time. So let's go to the hospital where I go, when I'm not well, and hang out there for my birthday. It just was so crazy. So we had a little thing and we had, sang her happy birthday and they stuck around. I think they did kind of hung out with the dude. I hung out with them for a little while. See, I speak of the dude like as he's another person.
Well, he's your brother.
As far as some people know. But yeah, things like that. So maintaining that relationship, like that's exactly the kind of thing I think is healing as well, is that we've created kind of this attachment and this culture to children's. And we're not the only program that does that. Other programs are really good at this kind of thing too, about making that relationship last when they're outside of the hospital too, that they still think about the dude. We have kids that call us from home because they stream us live on our website. They just want to keep that connection going. That's important to them. Then you think, well, they're making that attachment to the hospital. There's something healing about that. There's something that's very unifying and can kind of reaches out into kids and what they think of the hospital is not going to be all bad. And they don't think they've got great doctors or great nurses or great, physical therapists or whoever it is that work with them, and they have their attachments too. But then for us to also add into that pile of it just being a place of where you want to go and have your birthday party, that's great. I love that.
It's incredible enough for somebody to think of children's and think of Star Studio, have that come to mind, but to think about the hospital and then think of it as an inviting, welcoming place.
Yeah.
And as you said, a place people would like to go when kids, and we, again, I've seen firsthand, whether it's been covering St. Baldrick's or being down at the studio, you see kids, or we've heard from kids who are calling and are coming back to visit, or you see the kids who were former patients and they're raising money, or giving their birthday money or giving their Christmas gifts to children's.
Yeah.
It's cool, and Star Studio has played such a big role in the perception of the hospital, and for it to be, and I love that we are thought of as a warm, welcoming place. I mean, we are, but I mean, you think about what the word hospital does to so many people.
Yeah.
What do you think of when you hear the word hospital? For so many kids to think of good things, I mean, that really says you guys are doing your job.
We hope so.
I want people to know how they can find Star Studio. Give it to us.
Just come in the front doors of Minneapolis. Literally,
That's
we are the first thing that you see, which is so. When we found out that Star Studio was going to be in the main lobby, we just when the construction was being redone over here, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
That was the plan. We all knew in our program how seriously this hospital took what we do and how important it was to embrace and empower the programs that are non-clinical and those that are, like, say, in family resources, to approach care in what are all the possibilities, and those that are deal with kids and families and sort of, again, in just this therapeutic without its intent being therapy, but the result being therapeutic, and that we're able to just allow kids to be kids. You can come and be on TV or a TV star when you're here. you can meet a quote unquote TV star that thinks that, a bigger deal of you than you do of him. And that's the kind of the epitome of the dude to me. I know you're asking me another question.
No, you
I
nailed
wanted
it.
to sum up the dude in a way that persona that I wanted to create was to create this kind of like TV, guy, star that kids might think is really neat and cool and look up to. But then for me to be able to go in kids' rooms and make a bigger deal out of them, like I can't believe I'm meeting Natalie, wow, or whatever her name might be,
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, this is so cool. I get to meet you. Where the parents are thinking, wow, this is so cool. We get to meet you. You were just on TV, but I'm the one that's turning that back into them. And that was that whole persona I wanted to create. There's the dude for you in a nutshell. But as far as, finding the studio, you can walk in the main doors here at Minneapolis.
That's the literal way of finding
right there.
us.
Otherwise, our website is childrensmnstarstudio.org, and we keep all our old episodes on there. And kids and families can go back and watch the shows that they were on, or guests that we have from the community can make links and share it, put it up on their website, promote themselves, that way.
And you also have a space inside the Child Life Zone in St. Paul.
Correct. Yes.
And when you were talking about making a bigger deal of the patients than the patients make of you, it's cool in a way where, as a kid, I remember wanting my favorite cartoons to pop out of the TV.
Yeah.
And so for a child to watch you on the TV and then you walk through their door, that has to be just a mind-blowing experience.
Oh, it's great. It's great. I mean, look, you could probably have a lot of people that could come in and do what I do, but I will have to say this, is that there is something I wish that everybody could see, and that's what I see when you see that look in a kid's face when they had no idea that you were going to come to their room and say, "What up?"
I have two final questions.
Yeah.
And you can add anything you want in addition to this, but have you had any of those Disney moments where somebody sees Eriq and they're like, what? No. Where it's heartbreaking to the child.
Never heartbreaking.
Okay. All right.
No, it's never heartbreaking. It's always cool to them. They get a secret. They get to know that the secret identity. And most kids, I would say almost all kids and families, think it's pretty cool that they know.
Do any kids see the dude and go, "You're Eriq Nelson"? The opposite, where they're like, "You play Eriq Nelson"?
Never. No. Maybe had this come along in my day, but no, I'm just kidding.
And my final question is, what's next for the dude? You said the dude, he's kind of been the same, and that's what you've aimed for. But is there a next phase in the evolution of the dude?
Yeah, I think, even though he's just kind of not a real person, even though he's a real person.
Like, will the dude have to get glasses someday?
No, I don't think so. It's funny. I've talked about it, and maybe having the dude at this point kind of start to not grow up, but I mean, I don't know. Just change. I think change and evolution is always good, but I don't know how that would work. I know that I would like to be able to get in and do more stuff in the community. I think that would be something awesome. This is cool. I've been interviewed, I've been on the news a little bit here and there and stuff, but I think that it would be cool to do more stuff out in the community where the dude is going, to these festivals, or, go and visit some cool acting company that's in town, go behind the scenes. And I'd love to become a little bit more, put him outside of the walls of Children's a little bit more. Like, we do a fun thing at the state fair every year. And, we'll go, the dude goes bowling, or the dude goes to the beach, or, I'd like to kind of get out there a little bit more and just kind of get, I don't know, that the dude's vibe out out in the Twin Cities a little bit more, and go and then celebrate kids that are doing cool stuff, around the state, that maybe we could bring in some great stories and inspire kids with stories of kids doing stuff for kids, So I think that would be a great next step, is to kind of look beyond what we do just on Star Studio and the walls and on the TV sets of our own hospital, but to get Star Studio and the Dude and whoever else wants to come along for the ride, to get ourselves and our name out there a little bit more in the community, I think would be cool.
Is there anything else you would want to add to any parents listening from anywhere in the U.S. or around the world, or people working in other hospitals that are maybe looking for a way to add something like this to their organization?
Well, philanthropy helps, because we're supported by our association here in Minneapolis. They do amazing, they raise a lot of money for us to be able to have the equipment that we need and all that kind of stuff. So organizing that to kind of try to grow independent and be cost efficient for your own organization is good, But I would say just in general, and certainly to other hospitals or other places, that never discount what could be good for a kid. Never put don't ever limit yourself to what could be healing and could be right for anybody in any situation. But to the parents, I would say, this show and what we do in Star Studio is as much for you as it is for kids, because you're very much a part of our experience here at Children's Hospitals. It's very much about the family. We want moms and dads and guardians and grandpas, grandmas, brothers, sisters, everybody to feel that they're in a safe place and that they're taken care of. And part of that might be watching a funny show and laughing from time to time. Hopefully we can do that for them.
Well, I appreciate what you've done for Children's, what you and your mates at Star Studio have done, and appreciate you giving us the time today to talk about the Dude, talk about Eriq, and look forward to continuing to work with you.
Yeah, well, thank you.